This is Carl at National RV Detroit. I'm going to walk you through this 2021 Flagstaff Super Lite, model number 27BHWS, which would be bunkhouse with a wardrobe slide, I believe. Okay, so I'm just going to show you some of the features. First of all, you have power stabilizer jacks. One switch controls both rear, and then there's another switch up front that controls both front. You don't lift the trailer with it, obviously. You're just taking the wiggle out of it. You're just stabilizing it, okay? Now, this pulls out here. I had it in, but this is a cooktop here, obviously. 2 burners, but just remember you have to plug it in. So you have this quick connect right here, right? And then right down here, hopefully you can see it okay. There's a, right there, that's the quick connect for the female side for this male fitting, so you can hook right into the LP system right there. This is 110 AC, so as soon as you plug the trailer in, the refrigerator turns on. Keep in mind that you can adjust the length of the legs on your stairs. You just push this metal piece up right here, and then you can adjust each leg independently up and down till you get it how you want it, depending on the terrain that you're on. Okay, you have 2 power awnings with an LED strip. You've got outside speakers. This right here is the vent for your range hood. So if you're going to run the fan in your range hood and you want to vent to the outside, you'll have to open these 2 tabs here. So you just push up on those tabs, and there's a baffle inside that'll flap freely. So whenever you're venting, you want to do that. Also, we also have a TV signal out here, plus power, and then you have a mount right there, so you can hang your TV outside if you'd like to. Now, this hole right here, let me look through here. On the inside, you can't really see it, but up against the frame, there's going to be a shaft with a pin sticking through it, right? That's so you can crank the slide out manually if you need to. So, this would be the crank that you use right here. You can see that it has a, excuse my camera work here, has a cylinder with a slot cut in it. You can put it through that hole and get it right on the shaft with a pin through it, and you can crank the off-door side slide room in and out manually, okay? It's a good thing to get yourself out of trouble just in case. Alright, so this is your water heater. The only thing to remember is that there's a switch here. It's an on and off switch in the lower left hand corner, and that controls the electric heating element that's behind this cover here. So you always want to make sure to turn that on when you want to use the heating element. The rest of the switches are inside, okay? This also is your drain. If you want to drain the water tank, you just take this out. It's an inch and a 16 socket with, and you'll have to have about a 6-inch extension or so. There's also an anode rod attached to this, so it's actually, you know, about 6 or 8 inches long. So, okay. All right. So this is the griddle I told you about, and that's the rack that it hangs on. There's also a small table there, right? And there's another crank. So let me go. The griddle itself, like I said, hangs right here, and then there's another LP connect so you can plug it in. Okay. I don't see the hose, but I'll look inside to make sure you have it. Okay. Also, this other crank, you can see it's kind of smaller. Well, that's for this power tongue jack. In case it fails, you can pull this plug out, put the crank on there, and crank it manually to get yourself out of trouble. Okay. This right here is just a hookup for a solar panel. If you wanted to put a solar battery charger on this, that's where you would plug it in. Okay, so you have 2 LP tanks. Of course, first of all, of course, a power tongue jack. You have 2 LP tanks, 30-pound LP tanks, full. It's got an automatic changeover regulator. Then you have 2 27 series, or no, I'm sorry, excuse me, 2 24 series deep cycle marine batteries that are wired together at 12 volts. So it basically just doubles your storage capacity. The reason you have 2 batteries is because if you look over here, this is a power inverter right here. So this power inverter basically, I believe this probably has a large AC refrigerator. We'll look. But either way, this inverts power. It takes 12 volt DC from the batteries and converts it to 110 AC, right? This also has a converter which is inside, which does just the opposite. It starts off with AC power and turns it to DC power. So you go from 110 AC to 12 volt DC. This does the opposite. It goes from 12 volt DC to 110 AC. I'll talk to you a little bit more about it when I get inside. Okay? Alrighty. So these are your dumps here. I'm sure you know all about these, but you have your dumps, and you got another set in the back. I don't think I can squeeze through there. I'll just have to walk around here. Bear with me. Let's see here. I only get a little less than 30 minutes till this starts another file, so I gotta make sure I get everything in here. Okay. So you have a 50 amp 30-foot cord. This is a 50 amp system. We give you the reducers to reduce it down. This is an outside shower, docking light, or a utility light. So basically you're going to hook your city water right up to here, right? Turn it on and you're all set. You're all ready to go. That's the most common way to get water to the trailer. If you're going to a campground that does not have plumbing on the campsites, you can pre-fill your fresh water tank right here and use the onboard pump to pump it. Okay, this port is for winterizing. Okay, and this port here is the black tank flush. So your black tank, which will be, let's look for it, it'll be right here. Your black tank, if you leave that valve open after you dump it, you put a hose on here and turn it on, it'll spray out the inside of your tank, clean off the sensors, that sort of thing. Do a really good job. Generally speaking, when you dump these, you always dump the black first because it's dirtier water, it's toilet water and waste, and then you use the gray, which is sink and shower water, to kind of wash the hose out. Then you put the flush on. Okay? Alright, so also this is pre-wired for a backup camera. If you are interested in one, we sell them here, or you can, either way, you have to make sure it's the Furrion camera that fits in that housing. Okay? You have a ladder, which makes it easy to inspect the roof. The manufacturer says every 90 days somebody needs to go up there and inspect it, inspect all the sealant, make sure there's no crack or separation where water could get through, make sure there's no damage to the vents or the roofing material by low branches, that sort of thing. So every 90 days. Storage, and this bunk here actually flips up too, so you actually could slide a bicycle in there, a small one anyway, if you were creative. If you're creative. Kids' bikes wouldn't be any problem, the little kids' bikes. Okay, so let's go inside. Hopefully I covered everything. Alright, so you have a pantry / wardrobe. Let me get some lights here. All I have to do is find the panel here. You'd think I could do that, you know, without much trouble, but sometimes it'll surprise you. Here it is right here. Okay. So here's your control panel. I'll show you where it's at. Let me back up here. Okay. So we'll get some lights on here. Okay. So this is where you check the levels of your tanks and your battery. You can see that battery's totally charged. Fresh water has about 1/3 in it right now. Black is empty. Gray 1 is empty. Gray 2 is empty. Gray 2 is going to be the kitchen sink tank. It's sometimes called a galley tank. So you have a gray tank for the bathroom, shower, and sink, and then another gray tank for this sink here. Okay, so they graduate up in 1/3 increments. They light up. Once you get past 2/3, you're going to start thinking about dumping the black in the gray tank. Okay. Now your water heater. I mentioned to you that there's a switch for the electric outside. There's also a second one here, right? Never run it without water in it. To light it on gas, you do it right here. To turn on your water pump, to pump water out of your fresh water tank, and to winterize, you use it for both. Your tank heater's right here, so this has heating pads to keep your tanks warmer in the cold weather so they don't freeze up as easily they would without them. You have your slide rooms, your 2 awnings right here. Remember, never leave the awnings out unattended. If you're not going to be at the campsite, make sure you roll them in. Okay, 2 slide outs, 2 awnings. And this is right here, this is the Wi-Fi Ranger. So the Wi-Fi Ranger, the main function, it's a signal booster. for public Wi-Fi. So if you look at this tag up here, the top line that says network, I don't know if you can read it or not, but this is what your Wi-Fi arranger is called. It's 1010-7146. So when you open your phones or tablet, you'll go to your Wi-Fi and you'll find that listing, and you'll know that's your Wi-Fi arranger, right? To see what the Wi-Fi arranger sees, you'll go to this address right here. You'll just type it into a browser, and it's the bottom line there. It'll take you there, and then you'll log in with this temporary password here, which is right in the middle. And then you can see everything the Wi-Fi arranger sees. So you would select the, let's say, campground public Wi-Fi or campground Wi-Fi. If they give you a passcode, you type it in, and you're connected. It's a really good signal booster. The antenna's on the roof, which is important for a signal booster, so it really does a good job beefing up your Wi-Fi, so to speak. Now, this also has another feature that you'd have to look into. It would be between you and your service provider for your cell phone. You can get a card for it, and you could pay a cellular fee every month and just, you know, use that feature. But most people just use the public Wi-Fi. Okay. Also, there's an app for this. You can see you can check all this out. Okay. Now, while we're standing here, you got 3 remotes. Let me close this now. The bottom is a Fireplace. It works on 110 AC. So you've got obviously on and off. You can change the look of the flame like that. You can, let me see what else we got here. You can set the temperature like that. I don't know if you can see that, but there's also a timer. So you can set it to turn on, you know, let's say 20 minutes before you get up in the morning. It'll take the chill out of the room. Okay. The next remote here is for your sound here. It also plays discs, CDs, and DVDs right here. You can stream off this USB right here. You can go into the system with this HDMI in. So if you need to go into the system, you do it there. You also have Bluetooth, so you can hook up wirelessly with your phone or tablet. AM/FM radio and everything that goes with an AM/FM radio, presets and all that, of course. You have 3 speaker zones. 1 is this room, 2 would be the front bedroom, and 3 is outside. 3 is Z3, zone 3. You see that button there? You can set the source and the volume for separately from what you're looking at inside. So if you're watching a video in here, you can push zone 3 and set a radio station at a certain volume separately. Okay, so keep that in mind. You have that flexibility, and also, like I stated, if you wanted to add something on, like a game machine to keep kids busy during a rainy weekend or something, you can go straight into the system with this HDMI here. Okay, all right, and then of course you've got a TV, which works like any other TV. It's on a swing-out bracket, right? Let me see what we got here. This, just so you know, that is your signal booster. You can barely see it there, but there's a light on. You can't see it very well, but there's a green light, and there's a button next to it. You want the green light on when you're using the antenna, because you won't get a good signal unless you have that booster on. So make sure if you're not getting a good signal, check it, and you just push that button that's right next to it, and it'll turn it on if it's off. Okay. All right. So I got to pick up steam here. Let me go. All right. So this is your thermostat. It's self-explanatory. You have your different zones. You have. Let me just walk up here for a second. Okay, so right now this trailer has 1 air conditioner. It's pre-wired for a second one back here. So you can, if you want a second air conditioner, this would be zone 2, and you would just put it right in the hole from the vent. Let me look around. There's a sensor behind here for your thermostat. So or I should say the wiring for it's behind there. So it's pre-wired. You could put a sensor here, and then of course it's pre-wired up there. So. Getting back to the thermostat, you're just going to use zone 1 at this point. But you go through the different systems in the different modes, on, off. Try to always run the fan on auto when you're using the air conditioner if that's possible. Alright, so this is telling me that you have a solar panel on the roof. So you're 100% charged. Let me just go through it this way. Right now in your batteries there's 13.5 volts, which is what you want. Right now, the solar panel, you see the sun in the picture of the panel. Let me go back to that. it's only getting 0.3 amps right now, but we're in the shade. If you were to move this over 10 feet, it'll be up to about 5 amps, right? Also, it'll show you amp hours right here. You can see the amp hours, so it does all those things. Plus, you can because it's hooked to the solar panel. In an emergency, you could charge your phone or something if just using the sun if you had to. Okay, so let me get over one more time here. So right now, 0.4 amps are being put into your battery from the sun. But like I said, if you were to move this out of the shade, it would go up quite a bit. Okay. All right. So this is your solar controller, just so you know. Let's see what else we've got. Your table folds down. You just push this yellow tab over, and it's got hinges. It collapses down onto these cleats. Always keep it down when you're traveling so it doesn't bounce around and break something. Your range is very simple. You just spark it to light it. This is the sparker. You turn it clockwise. So you just turn on a burner, spark it. The oven is a little differently. There's a pilot light all the way at the bottom and the back. I can spark it that way so you can see it. And to light the oven, you're going to go to the picture of the pilot light. You're going to hold it in during the whole process. Turn the sparker clockwise to spark it until the pilot light down here lights. After it lights, still hold it for another 10 seconds or so. Then you go to operating temperature. When you shut it off, the flame goes out, but so does the pilot light. So you have to relight it each time you use the oven. Okay. This is your vent, or your range hood that I told you about the vent on the other side that you have to open the baffle. So if you're running the fan, you want to do that for sure, okay? This looks to be a 12-volt DC refrigerator. Let me look here. Yep. So this runs on, basically the power converter will charge the battery when you're plugged in, and the battery will feed this refrigerator. When you're pulling it down the road, your tow vehicle's alternator will charge the batteries, and that'll feed this refrigerator. Now the alternator, or not alternator, I'm sorry, the inverter is only going to be wired to certain plugs. I didn't prep this one, but it's probably this one right here. Yeah, right there, inverter circuit. So you're not going to be able to run the inverter for all the plugs or for everything that runs on AC power. It's limited. So you're going to be, if you have an AC appliance, you'd have to plug it in here in order to use inverted power. Now I mentioned the converter, which is down here. This does the opposite of the inverter. Remember, once again, the inverter goes from 12 volt DC to 110 AC, right? It takes the power from your batteries. This takes AC power and turns it into DC power. So when you're plugged in, you have AC power, you have regular circuit breakers like you'd see at home, and they're all labeled, okay? Then the power is converted to 12 volt DC over on this side, and you got 12 volt fuses, and they're all labeled, right? Now, when you're plugged in, this is a battery tender, so it'll always send so much into your batteries need, and it'll keep them charged up. So your battery's being charged by the power converter when you're plugged in, and it's being charged by your alternator when you're towing, and also the solar panel. Okay, and this is a battery charger. Also, if those fuses blow, they'll light up, and you can see them glowing through this tinted plastic here. All right, this device here is your carbon monoxide LP gas detector. It should always be green like it is. If it goes off, you take everybody outside, shut off the gas, figure out what's going on. If it beeps very slowly, it's telling you that your battery's low. I'll put it through the self-test so you can hear it. LP is good. Carbon monoxide coming up. All right, and low battery alarm. And back to green. It should always be green. If not, you get it serviced. Okay, let me see if I forgot anything here. Your microwave works like any other microwave. Okay. There's some storage underneath the bed. Obviously, you got the wardrobe here too. This button here is the inverter button. So right now it's not green, so you're not inverting power. Unless you need to invert power, don't turn it on. So there's no reason for you to be inverting power. So it's dark right now, but you can turn it on, and now it starts to invert. Right? But if you're not inverting, like I said, to run an appliance or something like that, you don't need it on. So you hold it for a second, and off it goes. Okay? That's inverter. Okay, so you got obviously a counter extension that goes right on here. You have a packet that has all the information for all the appliances and various components, okay? Now, the sink and shower, or the sink and the toilet work like any other RV toilet, sink and toilet. You always got to have water and chemical in here when you start using it. By in here, I'm talking about in the black tank directly below. So you put your chemical in, put about a gallon of water. Some people use more, it's up to you, but you got to do that before you use it, or else it'll smell really badly, super badly, and it also get clogged up. Now this device here is the shower miser. So it's a circulator basically. It takes water and it circulates it in a loop from the water heater tank to this fixture. Just keeps going around and around. The reason it would do that, you put it up like this, the reason it would do that is while you're heating up water, it doesn't just send the colder water down the drain. So you're not wasting fresh water in an area where that could have a drought, for example. And also you're not wasting storage in your gray tank down here, just dumping clean, cool water in there, right? So it saves space in your tank and you don't waste water. So when it heats up, this will change colors dramatically. This one probably turns a rich blue. Either way, you'll be able to tell it's changed. When it changes, that means it heated up, then you're going to put it in that position and use it like a normal shower, right? But like I said, when you're heating it up, you put the valve in the other position and then you wait for it to change color, okay? Like I said, you can look at the literature in the packet. You could also, here's the shower miser sticker. You also can go to the manufacturer's websites and look at their usage videos, and you can learn a lot from doing that also. Okay, all right. Always run the fan. This is a 4-speed fan, I believe. Always run the fan with the shower because you want to pull the humidity out. Okay. All right, I think that covers it. One last thing here. This is a Hideabed. You pull the cushions off, the back cushions off. You fold it out. It's 3 panels. It's really comfortable as Hideabeds go, and it's made out of, this one I believe is all foam, so it's a foam cushion Hideabed. I think that does it here. So let me look around to make sure I didn't forget it. Anything? Yep. Okay, so first I want to thank you for purchasing your trailer here at National RV Detroit, and second of all, I want to remind you that the manufacturer states check your roof every 90 days, so make sure you have somebody do that, and also obviously it has to be winterized once it starts freezing outside. Okay, thank you very much.